Now, it is my privilege to introduce our speaker. David Tester is the CEO of the Orange County Convention Center. It has been a tremendous asset to this community, largely invisible because it's out there in the hinterlands where most convention centers are in the heart of downtown. Prior to coming to Orlando, he was with the Austin Convention Center. And prior to that, he was with the Chicago Convention and Visitor Bureau, where he was there for some 13 years, I believe. It is a unique facility, and rather than belabor it, I'm going to introduce Mark Tester. Please welcome him to learn more about this. By the way, Mark has been in the business for a long time and it's part of a family business. His dad and I actually worked together 100 years ago, so he was in the business as well. So,
well, thank you, and it's great to be here. It's great to be in the #1 club, representing the #1 convention center in the country, and seeing truly one of the greatest people in our industry's history, Bill Pieper. He is the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Certainly at Visit Orlando, but you can't say that maybe the convention center would not be here without you, but we certainly wouldn't be what we are with you. And I am second generation in the industry. And if you noticed at the very beginning of Mr. Pieper's thing, he introduced me as David Tester, and I'm Mark Tester. And I can't tell you how much that makes my day, because David Tester was my father, and I look exactly like him other than lighter hair. And for a long time when I worked, I would get that all the time. My dad passed away in 2014. I miss him terribly. And every now and again, someone calls me David, and it makes my day. So thank you for that. That was tremendous. So again, I'm Mark Tester. I am the executive director of the Orange County Convention Center, and we are an enterprise department of Orange County government. So I am a government employee who works directly for the county administrator, who's a gentleman by the name of Byron Brooks, who you may know of, and at the will of the mayor. Matter of fact, every manager in the county is at the will of the mayor. Both gets appointed to the mayor and reappointed on an annual basis. So it's something that's different but unique to our county. I've been in the industry for 28 years. I came here from Austin, Texas, where I worked for the city of Austin, running their convention center department, much smaller facility. But if you may know, Austin is an incredibly growing town. The facility is growing. They've been looking to expand their convention center for some time. Actually, I worked for 5 years in that project, been gone for 3, and they still have not broken ground yet. And then I spent, as Mr. Pieper mentioned, I spent a number of years working in the Chicago convention community, and at both what is now called Choose Chicago, was the Chicago Convention and Tourism Bureau. So I was actively out pursuing conventions for the city, competing directly against Bill Pieper's Visit Orlando or Greater Orlando Convention Bureau at that time, competing with Orlando and Las Vegas to capture events for the city. And now I've been here 3 years. And there's no doubt my favorite job is the one I currently hold. And that's really because of what this community means and gets as it relates to our industry. Because hospitality and tourism and visitorship is such strong, our community really understands the value of what the visitor brings, and they understand the value of what conventions bring to our community, the economic impact. And so that's something that is entirely unique almost to this city. There's a tremendous amount of support and desire. I started actually a month before the pandemic started, and people would often say, "Boy, that's really a tough timing for you. Boy, that's awful." And I said, "Well, there's a lot of things I don't know yet about this community, but it makes it a lot easier, especially when you've got elected officials like our great Mayor Jerry Demings, that like you and want you to be successful." And that's not necessarily all the case in other communities. And that's something that we've got here that we should never lose sight of is the respect and understanding. In the Orange County Convention Center is the crown jewel of the county. And that's what the mayor calls it. We desire to be a world-class facility, and they're going to give us the support and amenities and things that we need in order to do so. And that's the greatest thing we've got going for us, really, as it relates to running our operation. We can go, and we can go on to the next. Thank you. And so our vision at the Orange County Convention Center is that the county has the healthiest and most robust economy in the nation. And our mission and the way we operate and the way that we think is all based on that. It is based on bringing people out from outside the community, hosting their event of all different varieties, certainly conventions, certainly trade shows, a corporate meeting, special events, anything that would bring someone from into this community, from outside this community, stay in a hotel room, spend money, and then leave. That is what we do. That is what our business is built around. That is how we make decisions. And in our value, we call ourselves the center of hospitality. We are customer service oriented. As a matter of fact, when I was at McLaurin Place for those years, we often pointed down to the Orange County Convention Center as the model of how to do things and how to provide the best customer service, how to make it easier on customers to do business. We have a mission and a values that we have employees that are engaged in a variety of different services. So we have a full service model at the Orange County Convention Center, where Orange County employees are providing many of the services at a very competitive price that would be provided by a third party in another destination. One of the couple examples for that would be electric. As an exhibitor comes in and is being electric, we provide that service at a very strong discounted base because we're here to drive economic impact. And that is a competitive advantage that we host against Las Vegas and Chicago and some of the other people that we compete with. We do go out and compete with events both nationally and internationally to bring them to Orlando. Our main partner is Visit Orlando, the destination marketing organization that Mr. Pieper ran for many, many years. They go out to the community, they go out to our customers and bring them to us. And of course, we handle the convention center aspect of it. But we were very employee driven and we were very active with our stakeholders, certainly on iDrive as we operate. We receive a portion of the tourist development tax, which is currently the 6% tax that's levied on a hotel room bill, just for the fee of the room for that night. And that was, we can go on to the next slide. Thank you. Sorry about that. And so that TDT is what it's called here, is an assessment on a short-term lodging, both hotel and Airbnb, and anything under 30 days. It was originally instituted in 1979 with a 2-cent tax that was designed to build what they called the Convention Civic Center. That is the exact terminology of what it was done, and then increased over time as we expanded to the current 6%. The first 1 to 4 cents is what it's actually operated under a Tourist Development Council plan, and provides a lot of things to our community to help enrich everyone's lives from a tourism point of view. And that money goes to arts, it goes to cultural arts, a little bit of it goes to Visit Orlando, and it also comes to the Orange County Convention Center to cover our debt, to cover our capital expenses and any operating deficit that we may have. The 5th cent is actually covering the community debt, which would be the remainder of our debt, and Dr. Phillips Arena and some Camping World Stadium expenses. We have probably 52% of it, and the last 6 cent goes to Visit Orlando and goes to the Amway Center Arena debt. And that tourist development tax, again, what fuels us, and what almost fuels exclusively, to the most part, about 85 or 90% to visit Orlando. We can go on to the next slide. And you can just see what has happened. This is the collections over time since 1979. It shows how our community has grown, the TDT over time, and it's split in each cent. But you will see that it continues to grow over time with three small dips, or three dips, significant dips. First was 9/11, 02 and 03 has a significant drop. And then the housing bubble in 9 and 10. And then you'll see the tremendous hit that we took in TDT development tax in COVID. For the month of April of 2020, tax went from probably 25 million budgeted to 400,000 for the month. So it was extreme and it was quick. But you'll see what happened shortly thereafter. And you'll see at this point, as in our community, we are at record high collections. Our hotel community, for a very short period of time, went to sleep and woke up and changed their rates a little bit higher, and the demand has been absolutely unbelievable. The collections for 2019 totaled 284 million. That was the highest in the history of the county. In this last fiscal year, fiscal 21-22, the total collections were $50 million higher at 336 million. And even better news, we're currently $19 million ahead of 22. So that is showing how quickly this community has recovered. Both our airport now is at 101% of domestic travel or so above where they were pre-pandemic, and are coming back internationally. I don't think they're quite back where they were, but this community has really recovered in an unbelievable quick way. And what this tax does is it leads to future opportunities for this community to develop or to provide more money to culture, to arts, or to sports events, and certainly expansion of facilities such as ours, or renovation of Camping World Stadium, or even Amway Arena. So we did, our industry was devastated by COVID. Business shut down literally almost overnight. Our first event canceled in March of 2020, and literally it was dominoes over the course of days. I actually nicknamed our director of sales the Grim Reaper, because every time he would come to me, he would say, "This event just canceled. This event just canceled." And we went from a jam-packed calendar to literally nothing in the short order of time. The good news for us, and the good news for many people in the state of Florida, was that we remained open for business. And in very short order, we were able to go to the mayor's COVID economic task force and pitch a plan on being able to start hosting events, which we did. And we began hosting events in actually June of 2020, and continued to do so all throughout the pandemic in very safe ways. And we did that through what we called our three-pronged approach. And that was our recovery and resiliency guidelines that we developed with social distancing, and how we were going to do things, and how we were going to get people to meet, how people were going to lay out their floors differently, come in one door, go out another, certainly with masks and support with testing and whatever they needed in order to feel comfortable. And we actually proved to the industry during some really tough times that we could host events. The Orange County Convention Center opened literally a year prior to Las Vegas and Chicago and some other facilities. In fiscal year 2021, we actually captured 14 conventions from other destinations that could not get the positive affirmation that they would reopen. And so we were able to do that in a really, really, really quick way. It still did significantly affect our business. And a couple things happened. One of them I'll talk in detail is we had a big expansion project, construction project started, and because of money from the TDT, we had to pause that. And secondly, we had to look at how to reduce our expenditures, and we did in a big way. We stopped any construction project that wasn't under construction. So if it was in design, we stopped that. We looked to cut down on contracts. But the one thing we didn't do, and this is the proudest thing that we all as our management do, is that we did not have to lay off any of our 472 full-time employees. Through a plan with the county, we actually temporarily reassigned 190 of our staff all around the county. Many of them worked for 311, especially some of our most polished people, and they could do their job, go off the clock, and be a 311 operator and handle people with small business applications for their loan and any of the other COVID projects. And this really helped provide an unbelievable service for the county, because you were getting people that were already trained, that already knew the computer system. They didn't have to go out and find these people to help solve the COVID problem on all the different programs that they were doing. We were able to do that, and that saved our ability to not have to furlough, which was tremendous that we did. We also partnered with the county and with FEMA on providing a testing site, a COVID testing site for literally over a year in our destination parking lot, which was away from a facility other than snaking it at times through our other parking lot. It did not interfere with whatever event that we had. And then later, if you've seen that, we had a drive-in vaccination site in our north building parking lot. And that was great. One of the great thing that is for us is that that was really a lot run by Florida Department of Health, and they became great friends of ours and great partners of ours. And when customers were coming in and they had questions, they would sit down and help them to work through the plan. Orlando Health, one of the big hospital systems here, provided their resources to our customers and developed what we call a medical concierge program, where they worked with the event organizers to set protocols and how to have event and how to do it safely. And so we believe that we came out of COVID a little bit stronger than certainly any other destination, but maybe even in ours. Again, tremendous support from Mayor Demings and the Board of County Commissioners as we all did that. The one market that came back the quickest was amateur athletics. And we were able to capture some additional sporting events to come down here. Families will not buy a new car. They will cancel their personal vacation, but if their child is an aspiring athlete that plays club sports, they will go to it. And I think I've been saying this, and no one has corrected me, but I think girls volleyball is the #1 team sport in the world now. And the club volleyballs work very well with the high school to promote each other. It's not one or other, it's both. And they've been thriving. And now our largest event that we have at the Orange County Convention Center is the AAU Junior National Volleyball Championship in June and July. And 180,000 people came into the community over a 9-10 day period. It's amazing. And I said, I wonder how many pizzas were ordered, how many Subway sandwiches were ordered. And I think Universal could tell you how many tickets they think they bought, but it's a tremendous event for us. And then we were able to really recover. Our last fiscal year probably would have been our record year ever for a couple of reasons. Number one is the calendar of business that we booked, that part of was booked a long time ago by Bill Pieper and Visit Orlando, was as good as it ever had been, and was set up to have an all-time record year. But it wasn't quite, and the reason was, number one, was that we had 5 events canceled due to the Delta variant at the very early beginning of our fiscal year. Our fiscal year is from October 1 to September 30th. So this has been October 1, 21, October of 21 to September of 22. And we lost 4 events to COVID, some significant ones to Delta. And then in January, Omicron reared its ugly head. No event canceled, but events that were in the month of January were really compromised in a big way because of what was going on with Omicron. And then February came on. We had one mega event come in, and I was telling Mr. Pieper before, it was the American Association of Home Builders and Kitchen and Bath, 2 mega shows that ended up having about 80,000 people into that area over a 4-day period. And they were in February. They thought the event was really going to be compromised due to Omicron, and then it kind of went away around the third week. It kind of lessened in about the third week of January, and about 5,000 people signed up within the last like 4 or 5 days, and they came in and it was a great event, and it really, a lot of people think, really rejuvenated, and it marks the start of the convention industry. This is right on about where we would normally be on a year. We had 159 events, 1.4 million attendees. That's unique. If you are there 3 days, we count you once. Not like a ballpark would, where they would count you every day, with $2.3 billion in economic impact to our community, and making iDrive and the area incredibly robust with economic impact. And again, very proud of where we were. We estimate that everyone that comes to an event will spend $2,229. That's the third party estimate that person will bring and reflect into our community. And where we are really this last year, again, I talked about the amateur athletics. That at one point was about 10% of the business that we have. It is now 30%. And it's really good filler. It's really great business because we can have a major trade event that's meeting during the week. These amateur athletic events are literally courts and other things that come in. They can come in one day. They're not significant move-in times needed, and we can have a big major event happening during the week, and then bam, right as everybody's leaving, we can have a great amateur athletic event where thousands and thousands of families are coming in, whether it's basketball, volleyball, wrestling, cheerleading, bodybuilding. We've got them all, and it is a significant amount of business for us, and one that we want to maintain that level. We have seen events that have buying on the floor do exceptionally well. The IAAPA show, that the International Amusement Parks, of course, this being the capital of the world, we get the capital convention in that marketplace domestically. They had a significantly tremendous show this last year. And the biggest challenge has been from certain countries getting visas, and in certain countries, visa wait time in Brazil and some other places can be up to a year. And so that is a real big trouble. And one of the biggest concerns with our industry is getting people to be able to come back to the United States and do business. Cassandra Mate, my counterpart with Visit Orlando, is on the U.S. Travel Association board, and that is their number one priority, is getting the borders back open for business. And so that's certainly what we're seeing right now, is that international, while it's coming back, it's still lagging from certain places. Certainly Asia still would be lagging. And the first events to really go away and the last to come back, and the most that are lucrative really for us is corporate events. So it's Microsoft and some of the big IT companies or pharmaceutical companies that have, number one, have customer events, and then the IT market, that user groups where they bring in people that utilize their IT product to give them trained and to make them understand, like a Microsoft or another large IT company, all were canceled. And it's still, for the most part, that faucet hasn't been turned on. Now, the good news, I guess, in a way, is that they've all went virtual, and them and their customers haven't been face to face. And what we've all learned is there is no replacement for getting together face to face. We saw that, and during COVID, when we had events that came in that were masked, that were socially distances, but people came in and we're social animals, and they want to be together. You can't meet a new contact on a Zoom call. You can't have a casual conversation on a Zoom call. But the good news is corporate events, we're just starting to see them reawakening. And we have received through Visit Orlando 5 or 6 leads for later 23 and 24 of events that would be significant for this community and certainly significant for us. We had in December, actually this last fall, we received a lead on an event that wanted to do a corporate event. This corporation in the finance field normally did 3 events per year in 3 different regions to reward and to get people motivated about the next year, but really to reward their successes. And they had not had it for 2 years. And the CEO of the company was fed up from living in another city. There was a lot of quality of life issues, a lot of unrest, a lot of politics that he didn't like, moved to Central Florida. Once he got down here, saw how beautiful it was, says, you know what, we need to get everyone back together. Let's do it once. Let's do it together. And they brought 8,000 employees and their families down, brought them to Disney, gave them tickets, gave them money for food, gave them money for souvenirs, thanked the spouses, thanked the children for the commitment that their father or mother made to that corporation, and then had an event with us. And it was a 1-day party. It was a 6-hour event. And they spent $4 million in food in one 6-hour party. But probably all told throughout the community, maybe spent upwards of 30, 35 million that just got infused into our economy. And we literally started talking to them about 90 days before the event. So that's what we're going to be seeing over the next 23, 24, as to these events coming, reawakening, and us trying to cobble together availability and get them here and get them happening. One thing that's happening over the next couple of years is the Dallas Convention Center, which is a pretty big center, doesn't compare to us. It's less than half of us, but they're going to knock the building down and start over. And so for 4 years, they're basically going to be closed. And so all the business they had in the books is flocking to other cities. And we're going, come on down. Well, we'll take you and we'll do a great job for you. And unfortunately for Dallas, you may not go back. But that's certainly, every major city in the country and every secondary and tertiary city has a shiny convention center now. In the 90s, $2 billion a year was in the United States was development of additional space. But they aren't Orlando. They don't have our airlift. They don't have our weather. They don't have our business climate. They don't have nearly the advantages that we have, including that tremendous support. So we are in now what we're at in probably one of our busiest times of the year is those repeat events that we've had for years and years and years. And a couple of them shows that you probably have even heard of. The PGA show has been with us now for over 35 years. They hosted that event last year. It was in January. It was during Omicron, and it was a tough event for them. None of the golf club manufacturers were at the event last year. They all pulled out short term because of Omicron. They all came back this year, and they had a tremendous event that exceeded. I think the number is going to come in definitely higher than that 30 when we figure out exactly what the number is. But a tremendous event for that, and a great partner with us as we operate. We are getting prepared. Matter of fact, if you are not going to go to MegaCon March 30th to April 2nd, if you don't want to dress up in your comics things, don't come to the convention center those days, because on Saturday, especially on Saturday, we'll have probably 50 or 60,000 people in costumes coming in and invading that area all in a 2-hour period. We had an expansion project that we had done through a long range plan, and we would be a broken ground on it by now, but we did have to cease the project due to funding. And what we were going to do is we were going to add a concourse and a ballroom and a series of meeting rooms to our north-south building on the Hyatt side of the building, or the Peabody, if you're an old timer, on that side of the newer building. That building was built during and opened in 2003. And TDT at that time was way worse than it is now. And they had to value engineer significant parts of that facility when it opened, and it has not been upgraded since. And so that facility does not have a ballroom and has very little meeting rooms, and it does not connect the two concourses together inside. You have to actually walk outside the facility. So that was one of the projects that we were going to do, was finish the facility. And then secondly, was we were going to add a 200,000 square foot multi-purpose hall on the Hilton side of the facility in one of our parking lots. That sporting events, corporate events, could have big parties, it would have pull-out bleachers. That project is estimated to spend to at that time cost about $605 million. And currently we own 50% of the design. So it was under design, getting ready to break ground when we had to terminate in the middle of 2020. Now that TDT is recovered, the mayor's announced a special TDT task force that will begin convening with about 15 members from all aspects of the community, from business to counter areas to certainly to people in our industry, that will be convening, that will come back with recommendations on what the county should spend the future TDT, certainly with the reserves, which are growing and increasing to 6 to 8 million each month. So there's a significant amount of cash that is building up that could be spent. And so this group, this task force, is going to get presentations from anyone interested in developing a project. Camping World Stadium would like to do some improvements. Amway Arena would like to do some improvements. And for us, we would like to get our project get back going. So we will be bringing that to this council and hopefully getting their recommendation to move forward back again. That will ultimately go to the mayor and elected officials for approval to get us. And yep. And last, we've got a video that actually this year is our 40th anniversary.
This is where the story of the Orange County Convention Center begins. 40 years ago, Orange County set out to infuse the local economy with new money and expanding business opportunities through world-class facilities and innovative services. The story of the convention center is centered around transformation, growth, and especially hospitality. It took many acres of land and perhaps 1 million dreams to make Orange County a convention destination. In 1983, with the grand opening of what was then known as the Orange County Convention and Civic Center, this vision came to life. The facility that started with less than 200,000 square feet led to long-lasting partnerships, and it revolutionized the convention industry. As the center's business and economic impact increased, so did the building. And in 2003, the center expanded to include its north-south building, bringing its total exhibit space to 2.1 million square feet. With the convention center's success, new business sprang up along International Drive, and the Center of Hospitality became the heart of the International Drive district. We knew then the center's story of growth and transformation knew no bounds. Today, the center hosts nearly 200 events annually, creating thousands of jobs and billions of dollars of economic impact for Orange County. And so, the adventure continues. But the next chapters of its story cannot be written without its ongoing commitment to excellence and the support of its partners, clients, and stakeholders. It's because of them that the Center of Hospitality has been able to celebrate unique and transformational experiences over the past 40 years. When it comes to hosting conventions, trade shows, meetings, and sporting events, the center is committed to transforming your wildest dreams into an experience to remember. Here at the Orange County Convention Center, we are dedicated to creating transformational experiences.
Yeah, so I'll go to questions. Thank you.
Thomas Tart, Orlando Utilities retired. Thanks to paying your electric bill. 2 questions. When I would go to meetings in Chicago, downtown at the convention center, I would fly into O'Hare Midway, take a train to town. I didn't have to pay Mears $50 or $100 for a cab ride. Where do you sit on getting a train? You got Brightline fixing to open up to Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Palm Beach. You don't have a train anywhere and you got to pay somebody an exorbitant fee to rent a car. What are you doing to get a train stop either on this commuter rail or on Brightline? And the second question that you answered too is, I thought COVID was over, but I heard a news report a few weeks ago. There was a decline, 54,000 new cases last month, 45 now. Where do you sit with COVID?
So first with COVID, it really seems to be, at least temporarily, in our rearview mirror. We are ready to implement our masks or whatever the customer would want to do. We have not had a customer require masks for months and months and months. We still continue our detailed cleaning protocols that have all the COVID things. We will not stop that. So we're continuing to act like COVID is there. The other protocols that the customers have really pulled back. Secondly, as it relates to rail, there is a lot of community involvement. You know, I'm as a government official or government employee, I'm not out lobbying or anything like that. But there is a group that is led by the iDrive Chamber and Universal and some other things to put a train station so that, you know, you heard with Brightline, there was significant amount of controversy of where their track would go south onto 417 and stop at Disney and miss this area. Well, I believe there's a coalition that is working to get federal funds that will bring it, and it will end or it will stop. They have a station on some land right next to our destination parking lot. Our destination parking lot was where we did the COVID testing. So that will be adjacent to that. And then we've got to work as a community at some last mile scenario so that you come into the airport with your bags and then you're able to get wherever you're able to go, whether the convention center or something. So that is something that when that comes, that will be on the table as well.
Yeah, Chris Wallace, I'm a government employee, but I work for the other government, the city. But my question for you is, with Epic World being built pretty much right outside your back door, do you think that will be a positive to bring in more events to the convention center?
Absolutely. It's going to be a game changer. Both, I mean, you can see when something is developed like that, that development will come around it. We could use some more big hotels around our convention center that weren't necessarily leisure focused, but business focused, so we could get some bigger blocks. But just imagine a world-class nightlife, adult nightlife scenario a minute away from the Orange County Convention Center's north-south building. It's going to be a game changer, especially for that corporate event. We would like to see more adult entertainment. That would be not, and again, adult meaning, you know, like Mangoes or nightclubs or nice restaurants type of thing. We don't want to be Vegas. We do not want any of that. But we're a family. But some more upper end nightlife will be a game changer, especially for that corporate stuff that wants to come in. Imagine you come in and you bring 5,000 of your customers in. You have a great day at the event and you want to go have a world-class experience at night. You take them, which they do now, but even a more entertainment type environment will be a game changer. And I think it's going to change the value of the land in and around us significantly.
I'm Jim Haynes, a retired guy, and I was wondering if we've ever had a political convention here in Orlando, and if there's any chance we might get one.
Can I answer that?
Sure, please. And be blunt.
Politically loaded question. I'll tell you a quick story. At one point, the chairman of the Republican Party lived in Daytona Beach. And Mayor Hood called me and said, we have a real chance to get the Republican convention. And I laid out the economics of it. And the mayor said, I don't think we want to do this. The cost associated with the political conventions is so extravagant. It requires so much corporate support, security. You can correct me, Mark, $20 million just for
At least.
security. The convention center goes empty because the party takes it over for 6 or 8 months. The huge loss of revenue, it just economically does not make sense. I jumped in because I didn't want you to get in the middle of that
I'm
political
glad you
discussion.
did. Yeah, you can be, no, that's exactly, you're right on.
It's pretty
100%.
pretty amazing, the cost. Any other questions? Mark, thank you very much
you.
for what you do.
I'd like to present this to you here, this little token of our appreciation, hold the bag from the bottom, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much. Mark Tester, let's hear it for him.